and welcome back to another weekly horoscope. I am so excited for this update and just to give you a rundown of what to expect for this upcoming week. As always, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's just a lot happening with the outer planets, which are slow moving. So anything happening with the outer planets really takes time. It's really more of a long transit. I talk about this in all of the lessons and the classes I have teaching transits in my membership and in my courses. Outer planet transits take the longest. This is why things like the Pluto sextile Pluto transit and even Saturn return feel like they last a long time because they move more slowly than the inner planets. So there's a lot going on with the outer planets, and that's why things have felt so drawn on with what's going on in the astrology, and that continues this week. We are going to have Mercury moving into Sagittarius, which I'm really excited for. We're going to have the moon moving from Capricorn into Aries, which I'm also really excited for. I feel like whenever the moon moves into Aries, it is a big emotional renewal, and so we are going to be feeling that by the end of this upcoming week, by after Halloween. What else do we have going on? I can't remember off the top of my head, but we're gonna get into it. We also, oh, I remember. It's so funny. I'm so right-brained in human design. I literally I have to let things go in order for the information to come. I have to like let go of the name of something or let go. Whenever I try to recall it, I can't. I have to like let go and let it flow, which is also a big message for us as we head into the end of the year. If you saw my YouTube video on the end of 2025's transits, then you already know this is the major message, is to really just flow, especially as the North Node is going to continue moving through Pisces until June of 2026. Really, our overall collective theme is to let things go and let it flow. What else we have going on this week is we're going to have Mars harmonizing with Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter. So we have pretty much a grand water trine all week. It is, like I said, involving outer transits. So those things tend to last a lot longer than with the inner planet transits. So we have that upcoming this week. There is a lot of harmony through the challenges and through the chaos. There are a lot of divine miracles coming when we focus on them, when we trust in our intuition to guide us to them, and when we really just, again, live presently, moment to moment, and let things flow and unfold as they're going to. This has been coming up for me as I'm on a kind of cross-country road trip now since the middle of August, and I thought I was going to end up moving somewhere and staying there, and the energy shifted for me, and I'm all of a sudden like, nope, I want to keep traveling, I want to keep road tripping, in order to kind of see what else is out there and see if there's any place that I really like better than where I was living and where I thought I wanted to move to. I'm really just flowing with what my intuition is guiding me to right now and really trusting in my sacral authority and human design to guide me to all the best things for me. Because when we live our human design, we live in alignment. So that's really a lot of the major messages right now, especially this week, as we're going to have those grand water trines closing out and finishing out before Mercury and Mars move out of Scorpio and both move into Sagittarius shortly after one another. Mercury moves faster, so it's going to move first. We are also in pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde that I believe starts on November 7th, if I'm remembering correctly. And then it goes until it's either November 7th or November 8th. And then it goes until November 29th. So again, those dates are in my overview of the rest of 2025's transits. So yeah, that is what is coming up. And without further ado, see, is there anything else? I'm learning to pause and ask if there's anything else that I want to say before we get into the weekly horoscopes, because I realize I often say, like, let's get into the horoscopes, and then I have a little bit longer of something to say or finish up about. another message too is like really act on what is coming up for you. Act on what you're wanting to do, even if you can't do it perfectly. Uh, do it because you can only make it better if you're acting in the first place. If I had never started these videos, I would never know what to do better, what to change about my setup, or how I walk you guys through the transits, how I do this. I would never know what to make better, what to refine if I never started doing them in the first place. And I've almost been doing them for a year, which is crazy. I started them in March. And I have stuck to it despite my chaotic move and lawsuit and all of these things happening for me. I have stuck to this discipline, which is very Saturn and Pisces. What dream are you building? We have to be disciplined. We have to be committed to it, even if things are hard, even if things are chaotic, right? I've really built this like, okay, Sundays, I know I'm going to be doing this for most of the day, or at least a big chunk of the day. So I have to be in an Airbnb. I have to be in a certain place. I have to like be able to have space to do this, right? And that's what discipline requires, is kind of changing and setting up your life to support having that discipline. And that's another big message right now is what do you need to be disciplined with that's going to help you build the dream you've been working on since Saturn first went into Pisces 2 or 3 years ago. And again, this idea of perfectionism is just an idea. You can't perfect things. You can't make things better if you're not doing it in the first place. And the first time you do anything is messy and imperfect. So we have to trust in the divine process and the divine flow of what that looks like for each of us. So that is another big message as well, is do the damn thing. It will only get better. You can only make it better by starting. You didn't learn to walk on the first try, and no one was there telling you, you have to do it perfectly or you'll never learn to walk. And now it's just normal, right? So apply that to what dream you are building or what you are starting to do more of that is getting you to your goal, that is getting you to your vision that you have for your life, that you've been building, that we've all been working towards and are working towards, and is kind of culminating and coming to fruition little by little right now. So with that, let me know what that is for you. Let me know what dream you're building. Let me know where you have Pisces in your chart. It's in my 6th house. So I'm building this dream of and vision of what I do for work and how I'm able to have a work-life balance and take care of myself while I am building this legacy that is my work, teaching astrology and human design. So that's how it's showing up for me. Okay, let's get into the horoscopes. We start with Aries as always. Aries rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 10th house is the big focus on your career, on your work, on your public image, reputation, maybe what needs to be cleaned up there. But it could come at a challenge to something going on within your relationships. Maybe you've been really focused on relationships. And there's kind of this push and pull energy on Monday between what's going on in your career and what's going on with your relationships. Then as we get into Tuesday, that could put some tension. The moon in your 10th house could put some tension on how you're expanding in your home. It could, again, feel like a further push and pull between your home and what's going on in your career, as well as what's going on in your relationships. We are going to have on Tuesday, Mars harmonizing with Saturn and with Jupiter. So again, there could be this magic, these miracles that I talked about in the beginning of this video. Like there could be this coming to fruition of something around your healing journey or what's going on in your inner world, because that's a big focus for you right now. Maybe this big subconscious shift or breakthrough that might feel a little bit like you don't know how to put words to it, but it really is this internal subconscious shift that takes place on Tuesday. Then as we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into Aquarius over Pluto, harmonizes with Uranus in your 3rd house. Again, there could be this like big emotional shift of how you're communicating, how you're sharing or expressing yourself and your ideas. But there could be something challenging that comes up that maybe you need to take action on. You're realizing about relationships. Again, social media, your community, your long-term goals and visions. There might be this like friction or a challenge between emotionally being able to focus on that, maybe social media as well, your relationship to it, and what's going on in maybe your resources or paying off debt, taxes, things like that. But I do feel the major energy on Wednesday is really this big mindset shift and this perspective of life shift that has been building, it feels like, for quite some time. As we get into Thursday, the moon continues to move through Aquarius, through your 11th house. You might get clarity on your goals, your vision. But on Thursday, later on Thursday, it could come at a challenge to, again, what's going on that you're taking action on in your money, resources, maybe, again, debt, tax, inheritances, wanting to invest in something or take out money for something. There could also be friction between like the inner transformation that's happening for you and where you're pulled emotionally. Like maybe you go out with friends and you realize like, oh, there's something that came up that I really need to like deal with emotionally, but I'm out with friends right now, so I can't really like journal and cry about things I need to. It's kind of that energy. But it does feel like there's harmony and support that comes through your relationship. So whatever has been changing about your values and as it relates to relationships. And that's also helping you heal something within your identity, helping you heal something within home or family. Again, big focus on your inner world. It's like, and maybe your relationships are helping you to come to better clarity about all those things and how to heal what's been coming up for you in a really big way. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into Pisces, into your third house, or sorry, your 12th house. It challenges Uranus in your third house and challenges Mercury in your ninth. So there could be, again, this need to go inward, this need to really reflect on what's come up for you all week and how to process it, what to do with it, journal about it, and really kind of like maybe organize your inner world and really look deeply at things that maybe have been put on the back burner that you're now realizing you can't ignore. The fact that something's coming up to help you remember a tie from childhood or a trigger or trauma from childhood that like it's time to work on it now is what this energy feels like over the weekend, especially as we get into Saturday and the moon moves over the north node in Pisces. In your 12th house, it's really like this emotional clarity about what direction you're headed with things, especially in your inner world and what is happening inside of you to create your external circumstances and maybe what needs to be further cleaned up there or further cleaned up with your routine or your mindset, your mental and physical health in order to have better harmony with everything else in your life. That this kind of ripple effect. And then as we get into Sunday, we're going to have Venus opposite Chiron. There could be something really triggering that comes up between a relationship and really has, a wound triggered in your identity or your sense of self. But as the moon moves into Aries on Sunday too, there is this emotional renewal and this maybe need to speak your mind in ways that you've held back from previously due to maybe childhood wounds or again, what's going on in your inner world, these belief systems that are coming up for you to question, really change about. Everything in your life, it kind of feels like, but especially relationships, values, your sense of worthiness, your sense of self, your identity in a big way also. So that's the week ahead for you, Aries. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Taurus rising. We start the week off with the moon in your ninth house. I feel this is going to put an emotional focus on your perspectives of life, maybe on something you're learning, maybe somewhere you're wanting to go, a long distance trip or something like that too. But it could come at odds with something in your health or your work that maybe is shifting there. You're shifting values or shifting your relationship with work and your kind of day to day stuff that you're doing to take care of yourself. It kind of feels at odds with maybe some long distance travel you have to do or um some again perspective of life shift or something you're learning. It's like emotionally these two things are at odds with one another. But also Monday and into Tuesday, we have Mars harmonizing with Jupiter in your third house. So it does feel like you're really supported by the people around you. And maybe there's a need for you to speak up to get more support from the people around you. And maybe that has felt really challenging to again some belief system or some perspective of life that you've had and held on to that you're realizing needs to shift so you can have more support by the people around you in the ways that you really need. As we get into Tuesday, the moon's going to challenge Jupiter in your third house. Again, this is very much like a you need to communicate something, but there's a maybe block in your mindset of like, oh, I can't speak up for my needs, or when I speak up for my needs, this happens. And it's like that's coming up for so you see it to reframe it, to shift it. Because once you do, it's really just a matter of like asking for what you need. And like, what is that? Is that the quote that's like, ask and you shall receive? That's what's that's what's this major energy. But again, it's bringing up a subconscious wound that isn't super comfortable to look at and to feel. But again, it can't be changed until it comes up for you to look at. As we get into Wednesday, Mercury moves into Sagittarius in your eighth house opposite Uranus. That could create this, like, there could be a bunch of epiphanies that come through Tuesday into Wednesday, especially as we have early on Wednesday the moon moving over Pluto in your 10th house. This could relate to a big shift in what you're doing for career, some new project you're working on. You could get emotional clarity about how to change something with it, or all of that stuff that's coming up about asking for your needs in your own life is maybe something you might be bringing into your career and realizing that you want to do so and how to do it. Tuesday into Wednesday, it feels like a really big time of like epiphanies and breakthroughs. As we get into Thursday, the moon's going to harmonize with Venus. Again, this is a good time to like be getting ideas around some new project or something you're creating. But also it could come at like your ability to emotionally focus on your career could come at odds with something that's happening within your relationships. It kind of feels like this challenging push and pull energy between your relationships and your want or desire to focus on something in your career. Then as we get into Friday, the moon moves into Pisces into your 11th house. It challenges both Mercury and Uranus. There could be some things that come up around money. Maybe like you're realizing someone has really inspired you to level up your money or to level up like what you're doing in your career to make more money, to have a certain dream or vision that you're realizing you want. Or maybe you're realizing like, okay, in order to have the goals that I have for myself and to achieve them, it's going to require more money. And so there's this kind of mindset shift about all of that and how to navigate it. As we get into Saturday, the moon moves over the north node, so there could be further emotional clarity around a direction you're headed creatively or spiritually, again, related to kind of maybe what's shifting about your mindset with money and things like that. There could also be over the weekend this fogginess of like, okay, well, I got some clarity here, but this still feels foggy or this still feels unclear. And it's kind of like I was saying at the beginning of the video, like the general overview for the week is really on trusting your intuition, trusting in the process of flow right now, and not trying to narrow down too much of like, it needs to look this way. It's like, okay, what is being presented? How can you align with that, with what is being presented as it's being presented, and just trust in the journey of it and know that you're going to get to the destination that's meant for you no matter what. And then as we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your 12th house. Feels like there might be a little bit of tendency to want to hermit and again, really just process everything that's come up this week and look at things deeper in order to have an emotional renewal with it and really feel emotionally charged and invigorated towards whatever it is that you're building that's maybe different than what you thought you wanted. So that's the week ahead for you, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Gemini rising. We start the week off with the moon in your eighth house and Capricorn. It will be on Monday, challenging Venus in your fifth house. So there could be something that comes up around money, resources, debt, taxes, investments that maybe challenges something that's going on with your dating. And maybe brings up more, some further wounds around identity on social media or with your relationship with social media and community, how you feel supported by the people around you, and what's going on with your money that's kind of tying into all of that or challenging all of that in some way. As we get into Tuesday, the moon's going to add tension to Jupiter in your second house, more of a focus on money, maybe putting systems in place to save or invest in ways that you've been wanting to. And I just feel like there's a cleanup happening with your resources. Maybe that is somebody supporting you in doing that, or somebody like not what is that called? Like indirectly inspiring you to change something there. So that you either make more money, you have a better relationship with money, anything like that. Whatever's going on for you with money, the focus is structuring it in a way that's going to be better for you in the short term and in the long term. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves over Pluto in your ninth house. Feel like whatever came up earlier in the week, by Wednesday, there's this big emotional shift and transformation. But it could kind of come at a challenge or come at a conflict to what's going on with your health or what's going on with what you're wanting to change about your health or your work. It could feel like, okay, well, now I have clarity on this, but how do I go about it? And again, the message is just to trust in flow, trust your intuition to lead you to the ways that are meant for you. and maybe even rather lead what is meant for you to you without you having to really do a whole lot. Like, I feel like the answers will come, the clarity will come when you're trusting your instincts and your intuition. And there's not going to be a whole lot you're going to have to like mental or figure out. And there could be a big breakthrough around that on Wednesday. Also, as as Mercury moves into your seventh house, again, it could come through somebody in your life, maybe sharing an innovative idea with you, or you have an innovative conversation with somebody Wednesday into Thursday that kind of brings some epiphanies to you about how to move forward with all of this stuff. Then, as we get into Thursday, the moon harmonizes with Venus in your fifth house. There could be maybe you take a long distance trip or something, and you're just feeling more creative, you're feeling more passionate about what you're doing. This could be related to romance or dating as well. But it also feels like, again, it could put this challenge on your health or your work in some way. Like, again, this wanting to have it all figured out, wanting to know. But it's really, this is going to rhyme, but you have to trust in the flow versus wanting to know. Like, that's the biggest message right now, and just trust that it will all work out. And it can be easier said than done, but really having a lot of faith is going to help you right now to make these changes in the way that is in alignment with your long-term goals and visions, and maybe what's been healing about your identity, old wounds or triggers that have been healing and coming up to be healed around all of that. Um, Especially as we get into the weekend, because Venus is going to put tension on Chiron. Yeah, you could be really triggered and challenged to look at identity wounds as it relates to your creative gifts and passions, that are maybe kind of challenging your money as well. So again, the what can you trust in? What can you have faith in? What about the process can you surrender to and just really trust it's all going to work out in divine timing? Because I think there's going to be more answers that come over the weekend, from your intuition, maybe from a spiritual practice, or like I said, like maybe even a relationship. It could be just somebody you meet in passing or something, or a conversation you have with like somebody at a restaurant or anything like that. But as we get into Friday, the moon's going to move into Pisces in your 10th house, have you emotionally focused on career, but it is going to challenge Mercury in your 7th house. So there could be this challenge or conflict between your ability to emotionally focus on your career and maybe a conversation you need to have with somebody in your life. As we get into Friday, the moon's going to move over the North Node in Pisces in your 10th house. There could be emotional clarity around a direction you're headed with career and with work. Again, it's really just take inspired action as it comes. Don't shove down any idea just because your mind wants to come in and be annoying about it. Like, really take action on it. If you're getting ideas and they feel good, listen to them and take action on them, especially over the weekend. And then as we get into Sunday, the moon moves into Aries. It's going to harmonize with Mercury in your 7th house. So there could be this emotional clarity, or divine and divinely inspired ideas, again through somebody in your community, somebody in your world that maybe you have a conversation with or talk to, that kind of provides you with this emotional renewal and gives you more answers about what to do moving forward and how to make and implement all of these changes. So that's the week for you, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Cancer rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 7th house, challenging being in your 4th house. You really are wanting to emotionally focus on relationships at the start of the week, but it could also challenge something that's going on with your home or family, a living situation. This is a temporary emotional challenge, temporary kind of setback. Maybe you have to have a hard conversation with somebody that you live with or used to live with or something. And then as we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your 10th house and also put tension on Jupiter in your first house. So maybe something you have to take care of emotionally within a relationship kind of challenges your ability to expand in your sense of self or heal something that's been coming up around your image, your reputation, or with your career and identity that's wrapped into that as well. But I do feel like, through that challenge, you're going to realize what needs to change and evolve and grow. And later on Tuesday, there could be an emotional reprieve and breakthrough around all of that as the moon moves into Aquarius over Pluto, and both harmonize with Uranus in your 12th house. There's this breakthrough within your inner world. But then on Wednesday, the moon's going to challenge the sun in your fifth house. So there, it could feel like you want to create or you want to like take action on some creative passion project or pursuit or dating or romance, but there's this emotional pull to kind of maybe reorganize your money or investments, taxes, kind of what you're doing with your money. Is really the focus, or maybe even on your inner world. It's like you want to spend time alone to really reflect and process what's been coming up for you to shift or to reframe. And there's this also kind of pull with what's going on creatively that may be challenging your ability to do that and kind of go within and get the answers and clarity in your internal world. But also on Wednesday, the Mercury moves into your sixth house. So there could be breakthroughs through these challenges and through these conflicts about how to move forward. As we get into Thursday, the moon is going to harmonize with Venus in your fourth house. This could feel like a really big kind of emotional relief around what's been going on in your inner world that you're shifting. But it could also challenge, again, something about creativity, a passion project, or dating in some way. There, excuse me, might be some stuff coming up around worthiness. Like maybe you started dating someone really great and you met someone amazing, but it's like, I don't have my life together in these ways. Am I worthy of this person? Blah, 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 blah. And that's a lie. It's just an inner belief. And it's coming up for you to reframe it. Take that as it resonates, as it applies. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your ninth house into Pisces. It will challenge Mercury and Uranus. There could be, again, this need to clean up a belief system, this very big emotional need to look at something in your inner world. This is Halloween, so there is maybe somewhere you go or someone you talk to or someone you meet that maybe triggers you to look at these things. And I think it's going to boost your creativity. I feel like something that whatever happens, although it's challenging, it like helps with your creativity in some way, maybe provides you with some unexpected inspiration. And then on Saturday, it kind of feels like a day to get more emotional clarity around that and how you're choosing to view life differently, and really be emotionally disciplined with how you're choosing to view life differently. Also on Saturday, Venus is opposite Chiron, so there could be something triggering that happens within your career, your public image, um, or again, like this sense of self identity tied into your career. Maybe you're really realizing you want to release what you've been doing, and step into a new identity with your work. And maybe somebody in your home or your family kind of puts tension on that, um, but I do feel like there is kind of this breakthrough that happens from it. And then as we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your 10th house, emotional renewal in your area of career, maybe unexpected answers around how to move forward as well, and maybe do things differently or whatever's coming up for you around starting something new. It feels like you're going to have more of a grip and understanding and clarity around it, um, as we end out the weekend. So that is what we had for you, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Leo rising. We start the week off with the moon in your sixth house. It is challenging Venus in your third. So there could be this emotional pull towards work, towards focusing on your work, your health. But also, it's kind of challenging your desire to maybe have certain conversations with people, or maybe it's challenging your values, and those are shifting for you in a really big way due to what's been going on in your inner world that's coming up for you to shift and transform and really heal maybe some wounds from family or childhood, that are affecting all of these other areas of your life that you're realizing you don't want to keep repeating the same patterns. And so there really is this big need to shift it that you realize Monday into Tuesday. Then later on Tuesday, the moon in your sixth house is going to challenge Chiron in your ninth. So again, and put tension on Jupiter in your 12th. So once again, this could really put a lot of emotional challenge, or bring up emotional conflict around your perspective of life, how you've been viewing the world around you related to like maybe wounds from childhood, wounds from that are just kind of like deeply rooted in your subconscious. There's this need to really focus on it and to look at what's coming up so you can shift it so that it literally doesn't keep repeating the same story over and over in your life. But it might be uncomfortable, and you might want to throw yourself into work to avoid it, but that's not going to help. So don't do that on Tuesday. Really look at what is being triggered, really look at what is coming up because it is going to help you in the short term and the long term. Wednesday, we have the moon moving into your seventh house over Pluto. There could be an emotional shift around relationships, maybe supported through your community or your friend group, or something to do with social media or your long term goals and visions. Maybe what you want in a partnership is changing, getting more answers around that. You're getting more clarity around that. And there's something about the relationships or home in which you're inspired on this day to take action on as well, and make some innovative changes to, again, maybe just how you're approaching relationships or what you're doing in your home, what's going on there. As we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into your fifth house, puts tension on Uranus and your 11th. So there could be this emotional, not emotional, mental focus on all of a sudden creativity, on dating, on romance, maybe, but also it's like putting tension on how your community is changing or what you're wanting to shift about your long term goals and visions. There could also be, because of this, some breakthroughs, some unexpected clarity that comes around your what you're doing long term and how you're what you're really building for yourself and your vision that you have for your life. On Friday, the moon, oh, Thursday into Friday, the moon harmonizes with Venus in your third house. There could be a conversation you have with somebody that helps you just kind of realize what you want to do or how you want to change things. And then as we get later into Friday, the moon is going to challenge Mars in your fourth house. This could put some emotional tension on what's going on in your home or what's going on with family. There can maybe be like an argument or something that's kind of gets emotionally heated, and you're realizing you just really need to change your approach to how you're handling all of these challenges that come up as they come up. As we get into later on Friday and into Saturday, the moon moves into Pisces into your eighth house. There could be this emotional focus or clarity around money, resources, but also it could put tension on and challenges on what's going on creatively, what's going on in your community, your long term goals. It's like you want to change a lot about your life, but there might be this conflict of like money or how do I go about it or like logistics. And um, again, really, like I was saying at the beginning of the video when I did the overall speak, like the messages are really to trust your intuition and to trust in what's coming up as it's coming up and not try to plan too far ahead right now because things are shifting and they're shifting really quickly. So the more you can trust your intuition and flow, the better things are going to go. Saturday into Sunday, the moon moves over the north node and Pisces. There might be this clarity around what you're doing, what direction you're headed with resources and money, debt, taxes, investments, things like that as well. And maybe something about your home that's changing or something about your home that you're taking action on through all of this clarity. Could be emotional healing of all of these subconscious stuff, childhood stuff as well. That as the week progresses, you just get more clarity around, and really feels like it has shifted as we end out the week. And then later on Sunday, the moon moves into your ninth house. And there's really this emotional renewal of your perspective of life and how you're viewing the world around you. So that is your week ahead, Leo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Virgo rising. We start the week off with the moon in your fifth house. It is going to be challenging on Monday, Venus in your second house. So there could be this emotional focus on creative passions, maybe on romance, on dating, but it does feel like it challenges what's going on with your money, what's changing about your values and money, your self-worth as it relates to earning money, and what you're doing with it. It could feel like the beginning of the week, you're really challenged to look at these things differently, to kind of reframe, structure, to have a solid foundation of on what you're doing creatively to bring in the money that you want for what's changing about your goals and your values and your self-worth. It's like the money has to kind of match that. And what you're doing creatively might put pressure on you to really live in alignment with your values. There could be some sort of emotional release around that Monday into Tuesday as the moon harmonizes with the south node in your first house. Then we're going to have the moon on Tuesday challenging Chiron in your eighth and putting tension on Jupiter in your 11th. So there could be this push and pull energy between what's going on in your community or with social media and what's going on for you creatively, a project or passion. that is, again, challenging you to evolve these triggers or wounds around money and resources in some way and really detach your identity from money. Detach your identity from your financial picture or from resources and the ways that it has been wrapped in to really make changes that are going to benefit you not only in the short term but also in the long term. Then, as we get into Wednesday, there could be a big emotional shift around that and maybe what you're doing for work and how you're taking care of your health as the moon moves over Pluto. And both harmonize with Uranus and Gemini in your 10th house. There may be epiphanies around work, like needing to charge more or needing to really just put boundaries into place over what you're doing for work so that you're not overextending yourself. And again, you're really bringing in the monetary value that you are giving for the amazing work that you do. So there could be this breakthrough, this epiphany around that and a need to really maybe communicate your needs and boundaries as we get into, well, really later on Wednesday. There could be a need to um, communicate this realization to whoever you work with or whatever you do for work or for money, um, because you're realizing it's not sustainable. And it's gonna challenge you to really maybe, step into new ways of communicating and speaking up for yourself in order to do that, but there's somebody in your home or within your family who feels like family maybe that could help you with that. As we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into your 4th house. There could be this big shift with home or with family, maybe related to career or something like that, as Mercury is gonna put tension on Uranus in your 10th house. Again, it's a lot of mindset stuff too. It's a lot of communication stuff and patterns that maybe you're realizing were passed on to you that you want to break free from, kind of thing, and really shift. As we get into well, later on Thursday and into Friday, Mercury, sorry, not Mercury, the moon is harmonizing with Venus in your 2nd house. So there could be this empowerment feeling around really speaking from this place of worthiness or speaking from this place of value and really acting on what you've realized as the week has progressed that you want to change, and that you need to speak up for about within what you do for work for things to feel more balanced and things to feel more fair. Then later on Friday, the moon's going to move into Pisces, into your 7th house. Emotional focus shifts to your relationships, but it does put some challenge on your home, what's going on with family, maybe, or within your career as well. So there could be this emotional kind of like mm, clusterfuck between your relationships, your career, and home or family. But the release of that tension is through you. So, what do you need to maybe do for yourself? Get a massage or a healing session or something to like take care of yourself despite all of the maybe chaos that's going on Friday. Going to be an interesting Halloween for sure. Maybe the chaos that happens kind of propels you to look at something deeper within yourself or book something to take care, have more self-care practices, something like that. Then as we get into Saturday, the moon moves over the north node. There could be some emotional epiphany around relationships and what direction you're headed with your relationships and maybe what's changing about your connections in general or just how you're showing up around people. As the week goes on, there's still the square between Chiron and Jupiter, so there's still a lot coming up as well around resources and community and money, investments as it relates to like your long-term goals and visions and maybe how to better organize stuff. Especially over the weekend as Venus is adding tension to Chiron and Jupiter. Big focus on money and what needs to change and shift there to line up with who you're becoming, who you're stepping into. And then on Sunday, there could be some further epiphanies about relationships, um, and maybe communicating yourself and how that's all kind of playing into your long-term goals and visions and what feels really expansive for what you're stepping into with community, and getting more clarity about the vision that is unfolding for you as everything else kind of does and supports it. Later on Sunday, the moon moves into your 8th house, feels like this emotional renewal, new beginning around your resources and all that's been coming up for you about money. So that's the week ahead for you, Virgo. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Libra rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 4th house. You could be emotionally focused on your home, your living situation, family, But it also on Monday feels like it's at odds with you, with your values that you're stepping into, or a new sense of self that you're stepping into related to your values and worthiness and these kind of things that are really coming into fruition for you as it relates to your identity that are healing. The what's going on in your home maybe could put tension on that on Monday, but it does feel like there's also a release in your subconscious or within your belief systems related to that too. Like the conflict or the challenge really forces you to evolve something in some way that feels better for you. As we get into Tuesday, the moon adds tension to Jupiter in your 10th house, and both are challenging Chiron in the seventh in your seventh house. There could be something emotionally challenging with your relationships. Maybe a wound is triggered, maybe related to what's going on for you with home, with your career. It's kind of like this clusterfuck of challenge in your career, your relationships, your home. So the focus is really on you. Like, what can you do to help feel better about yourself through all these chaotic changes or challenges? Because it is propelling you into an evolution, and you're getting more clarity about that evolution and what needs to happen in order to grow and evolve these areas of your life in ways that feel better for you. But the energy on Tuesdays don't get wrapped up in the challenge. Like, how can you focus on you? How can you maybe do your hair, do your makeup, or dress really well on Tuesday, like feel good about you, or do something for you, like go to the spa or pamper yourself on Tuesday to kind of relieve some of this challenging energy. Then, as we get into Wednesday, there could be this big emotional shift around a creative passion, project, pursuit, around dating or romance, maybe even two, as the moon is going to move over Pluto in your fifth house, and both are harmonizing with Uranus in your ninth. There could be this big, like, aha, epiphany around how you're viewing life and maybe the mindsets. And belief systems that are playing into what's going on for you, and maybe learning to approach these challenges a little differently and see the good in it. I feel like this week is really about seeing the good in all of these challenges that are happening. That it's really teaching us a lot, really help, even if we don't see it in the moment because it is so challenging, feels chaotic. Then on Thursday, there could be more of an epiphany around that. There could also be something you're really wanting to do creatively, or maybe you go on a date with somebody. It feels really good for like you being seen as beautiful, being seen as for your worth and your value, and then also this emotional pull towards dating or creative projects or passions. They just feel like in real in true harmony with one another. So there could be something that comes up around that that feels really good for you. Then as we get into Friday, there could be something that happens around dating or romance or with creativity that challenges how you're transforming something with money, or with your resources in some way. It could just feel like, again, these challenges are propelling you to evolve and to grow, but in the moment they suck. But maybe it's giving you this epiphany about resources, about money, about what you're doing to make money, and maybe how you want to change what you're doing creatively to bring in more money. Um, Also, Thursday and Friday, Mercury is opposing Uranus, so there's this big mindset shift. There's a lot of tension put on how you're communicating, how your internal mindset and how that's creating your external world. There's a big maybe epiphany that happens, or a big shift that happens with your mindset and how you're viewing things, and realizing maybe you need to talk about certain things differently in order to, like, the universe is always listening kind of thing, and it's like you need to maybe talk about this differently so that it produces a different result than just repeating the same story and having the same outcome. Friday, Mercury challenges the moon as it moves into Pisces in your sixth house, and both are challenging Uranus in your ninth. Again, this could be that mindset shift, really building, really solidifying, really coming in around your health, your work, and maybe what's changing about that. There's this emotional focus on your work and on your health, and how those two things are playing in to support each other. There could also be a creative Friday into Saturday, there could be this creative inspiration or creative idea or download about something you want to do to make money. That is, again, this what are you taking action on to change your situation with money? And there could be more epiphanies as we get into the weekend around what that looks like and what maybe to do in your work or your day to day to support that idea or support that new desire that's emerging resources and finances. That's further supported as we get into Saturday into Sunday, as the moon's going to harmonize with Mars. It could also feel like, okay, I know I want this, but I don't necessarily have all the answers yet. Things might feel a little foggy around your work, but that could also show up as things feeling a lot more intuitively inspired and energy kind of like, maybe you you have a long conversation with a friend, and it's like, okay, it doesn't look productive, but then all of a sudden you get like this idea or this inspiration to act on to maybe create content around it or whatever, right? And so it's really trusting over the weekend in these things that don't look productive, but that are going to give you the inspiration you need to do what you want to do, right? It's like trust the process, trust in the flow, even if it doesn't make sense to the mind. Then later on Sunday, the moon moves into your seventh house. There's emotional renewal around relationships, maybe feeling more inspired by who's around you and who you're talking to, and maybe wanting to yeah, be more social or spend more time nurturing certain relationships that you're realizing do feel really supportive for you and also are lining up with what's changing about your values and your sense of worthiness and your identity. So that's the week ahead for you, Libra. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Scorpio rising. We start the week off the moon in your third house, challenging Venus in your 12th. This is a lot of mindset stuff. There's a lot of like inner communication stuff that's coming up, maybe around your sense of self and worthiness. Maybe there's a lot of like wounds around insecurity coming up, especially as it relates to what you do in work. And it's really challenging you to look at these things differently, to reframe how you're viewing your worthiness, to reframe how you're viewing um, your sense of self. I mean, with the sun now in your first house, Mars and Mercury in your first house, there's this big momentum towards shifting a version of yourself, towards really letting what needs to die and transforming you. Tuesday, the moon is going to be challenging Chiron and Jupiter. This could also bring about those this need to evolve your perspective of life, especially as it relates to your work. Maybe you've had like a lot of wounds or triggers around identity tied into your work, and that your work is shifting, and so it's triggering these like how your identity's been tied into that, right? And it's like feel the feelings, let it go, and know that you can step into the new. And that's what this time is really propelling you towards. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your fourth house. There could be a shift around your home, around family, maybe supporting some shift around money. But it could also challenge, again, like you and what's changing or what's growing, transforming about your sense of self. There's a lot of pressure to change. Um, and that pressure is on you, Scorpio, to like really change your sense of self, your identity, maybe your appearance in some way to match where you're headed, as opposed to just doing what you've always done because it's what you know. There's this need to shift. And you might need more sleep. I'm getting really tired as I'm like saying your horoscope. So you might need more sleep than you think. Get it in when you can. That's kind of the energy of this too. Wednesday as well, Mercury moves into your house. Focus intention on shifting your mindset around money, maybe related to what's changing about your work, and really trusting in the divine, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, to support you and to take care of you no matter what these shifts are and what they look like. On Thursday, the moon in your fourth house harmonizes with Venus in your 12th. So there could be this like relief of a subconscious shift or belief system that's changing. Um, eh, there's a lot of challenge between like what you're doing for work and your perspective of life. So again, it's like how can you get those two things to line up? Um, and really maybe listen to a lot more positive content like Abraham Hicks or people that really inspire you, that bring you up, that feel really positive for you, because it's going to be easy when things are challenging, when things are chaotic. It's much easier to get drawn into that and get pulled under by it, get swept up by it. But the message is really like, what can you do to focus on the positive and the harmony that is also happening for you right now, despite the challenges. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into Pisces, into your fifth house. You could be feeling more emotionally creative, inspired creatively. Maybe this applies to romance or dating, but there's a lot that's been going on in that area of life for you, the fifth house. So, what and how can you be disciplined to what's coming up for you, especially as we get into Friday and as things feel challenging, maybe with money or with resources? What needs to maybe shift about your long term goals or visions, or how you're showing up with your community to serve with your gifts, to serve with, again, what your work is that is shifting for you, that you're stepping into something new around this new chapter, this new beginning with what you're doing for work. Like, how can you really just come from the lens of like, I want to help people with this, I want to serve with this, and the money will come. Like, I will be supported no matter what, as long as I'm stepping into sharing my spiritual gifts or my creative gifts, and being disciplined with that, because that's the focus for you right now, Scorpio. And you will get a lot more clarity around that as the weekend progresses, especially on Saturday into Sunday, as the moon moves over the North Node, Saturn, and all that's in Pisces right now. It's going to harmonize with Mars in your first house, which could support a transformation of you and support everything that you've been doing and working on all week. And then as we get later into Sunday, the moon moves into your sixth house, and there's going to be this emotional renewal of your work and what you're doing to make money. So you might get ideas around that, act on them. And that's the week ahead for you, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius rising. We start the week off with the moon in your second house, challenging Venus in your 11th. This could bring up some emotional stuff around money, maybe related to your community or long-term goals and visions or social media. You might be emotionally focused on, okay, what do I need to get more organized with in money? What do I need to be more foundational with about my resources, in order to kind of clean stuff up and have it be on a foundation of what I want it to be. Does that make sense? But it also feels like maybe challenging for what you're being pulled to focus on in community that relates to your values that are shifting as well. Especially as we get later into Monday into Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your fifth house as it puts tension on Jupiter in your eighth. Yeah, there's a lot of money stuff coming up for you, and it feels like it's challenging some identity you've have wrapped into what you do for work or what you creatively share and creatively create, like a passion that you have. This could also be related to dating. Maybe what you do for money kind of feels like it's hard to find people in dating because of what I do for work or whatever. But it's all just kind of like subconscious stuff that's coming up for you to shift, for you to change, for you to see differently, so that your experience with it changes. And you might get epiphanies around that on Wednesday as the moon moves over Pluto in your third house. Mercury is also in your first house now, putting tension on Uranus in your seventh. So big pressure to change your mindset, to change how your identity is wrapped into your mindset, or vice versa, and to have these positive shifts that you want in the ways that you want them. It also feels like there could be a conversation you have with somebody on Wednesday that propels you into an emotional shift as well, but that could challenge a subconscious belief or what's coming up about what's your inner world to focus on, to shift, that's being illuminated about your subconscious, maybe patterns or things from childhood that are shifting, that you're healing and kind of being supported by. Even if they feel like challenging, they're coming up to support you in this shift of your subconscious. Does that make sense? Then as we get into into Thursday, the moon in your third house is going to harmonize with Venus in your 11th. There could be some clarity around these shifts you're making in your long-term goals and visions, what's changing there for you, that you're realizing you want to shift, or there's, maybe you were acting from old wounds or old patterns, and you're realizing, okay, I need to clean this up a little bit. And there's a lot of harmony on Thursday around doing that. But then later on Thursday and into Friday, the moon is going to put some challenge or conflicts, again, in your subconscious, on your inner world, on what needs to shift there, on transformation that's needed, especially as it relates to like how you talk about things and what you maybe focus on. That just perpetuates an old cycle. And like, okay, it's like, look over here, like, don't look at what you've known, because what you've known hasn't necessarily helped you. It's like, look at how you can shift what you're focused on to shift your energy. Does that make sense? I feel like it's a lot of like etheric, hard to pin down stuff for you, Sagittarius. It's a lot of inner world work too. I mean, with the water trine happening in your fourth, eighth, and 12th houses, is a lot of inner world stuff. There's a lot of internal kind of subconscious psychological belief system stuff that's shifting for you this week, especially as we get into Friday. The moon moves into Pisces, into your fourth house. You're going to be focused on your home, your family, maybe, or childhood stuff, shifting that, especially early on Friday as the moon challenges Mercury and Uranus in your first and seventh houses. There could be this big identity shift. There could be this sudden epiphany, maybe through somebody in your life, or realizing something about family, home, childhood. Maybe there's this need to kind of share that more and how you help people, or with what's going on in your career that's shifting, that's changing, that's getting refined. The focus of this tension is kind of on your career and maybe what needs to change about something with that. As we get into Saturday, there could be some emotional clarity around that as well, as the moon's going to move over the north node and then move over Saturn and Neptune in your fourth house. There could be some further emotional healing from childhood stuff. Really, it's a lot of inner world work. You might be kind of hermiting over this weekend to kind of be able to process everything that's coming up and really not externalize any triggers. As on really the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Venus is going to be putting tension on Chiron, and both are challenging Jupiter. The focus might also be on like, what do you want to change about how you're making money, or refine about how you're making money, or put less pressure on yourself to make money and trust in that it's going to be taken care of. You're going to be provided for. It's almost like you've had this identity of like, I need to do this so that the money doesn't stop. But it's like, the money's not going to stop. Like, you have a solid foundation, trust in that, trust in the divine to support you. That's kind of this message, is like, heal that old identity that's wrapped into all of this stuff that's not helping you, right? I feel like that message keeps coming up for you, Sag. And then as we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your fifth house. There's an emotional renewal, maybe of your creativity as well, creative inspiration, and how you're expressing yourself, how you're sharing your ideas, and maybe these shifts that have been building all week propel you into sharing something new or teaching something new in order to help others with this as well. So that's the week ahead for you, Sag. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Capricorn rising. We start the week off with the moon in your first house. There's an emotional focus on you, on your appearance, your identity, your sense of self, maybe laying new foundations and structures within like how you're expressing yourself, or how you're standing up for yourself or speaking yourself. And then later on Monday, that could challenge something about your career, maybe something about what's changing with your values in career, or your sense of worthiness in career. How you're showing up in your career feels very challenged with what's going on emotionally for you. And then, especially as we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to put tension on Jupiter in your seventh house and Chiron in your fourth. There could be a lot of childhood stuff that's coming up, wounds, triggers around home, around family, around feeling supported. That's putting this kind of challenge on you to shift emotionally how you view these things, or like how you interact with the world in a new way, like shifting your identity. And maybe there's somebody in your life that's helping you to do that, or several people, relationships maybe that you are new that you've been making, are putting this kind of tension on you to shift emotionally your identity. Yeah, it's a whole lot of challenge, but it feels like it's forcing you to evolve in maybe ways that you've wanted to or needed to for quite some time. And this is like the trigger to finally do it. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves over Pluto in your second house. There could be an emotional shift around that related to money, around your long-term goals and visions, what you're doing for work, maybe realizing if you've had your identity tied into work, like, again, there's this trigger, this wound brought up to shift it, and step into something new and step into something different, even if it's a little scary. it does feel like whatever that is gonna, on Wednesday, emotionally challenge what's been going on in your community or your long-term goals and visions. Again, it's like maybe your whole vision of what you've had for your life is shifting, and that's also bringing up these identity things. As we get into Thursday, though, I think there's going to be this emotional harmony between your money and what you're doing for career. Maybe that's somebody kind of inspiring you to move in a new direction with your career and how you make money. Um, Also, Mercury's in your 12th house now, putting tension on Uranus in your sixth. So, again, there's a lot of these mindset shifts coming up for you around what you do for work and looking at the subconscious beliefs that are playing into that and shifting them so that you are more in alignment with this new direction that you're headed, and there's nothing really holding you back. Again, more mindset stuff on Friday as the moon moves into Pisces in your third house, puts tension on Uranus and Mercury. It feels like you're having to really shift your perspective of life and how you viewed maybe things moving forward. Like it's again this big shift in identity that's supporting all of these other shifts, or vice versa. Um, and it's like maybe you asked for something and now you're getting it, and it's like, oh wait, but also how do I go about doing this? Like but again, I feel like there's people that you have around you to support you in these shifts, and it may give you more clarity on how to move forward with them. You may be feeling over the weekend divinely inspired to act on some of them or to share about some of them, especially on Saturday as the moon moves over the north node and you get more clarity about what direction you're headed with what you're sharing, how you're sharing information, your ideas, or how you're communicating yourself. There's these big shifts to your kind of day to day related to all of that. Um, yeah, that feels like the major theme for Saturday and maybe some of Sunday, but later on Sunday, the moon moves into your fourth house. And there's this emotional renewal, maybe related to your foundations, your roots, your home, and maybe sharing more about or just getting more clarity about what's going on in your inner world to that needs to shift in order to shift these changes in your external world. I feel like I keep saying that, but that's really the biggest energy of this week, Capricorn, is what needs to shift about your inner world to support what's going on in your outer world. Even if things feel challenging with career, with home, with your relationships, it's like, how can you focus on what is doing well or focus on the positives that are coming from this, even though there are very real challenges that are coming from it too? Does that make sense? It's really going to help you move forward with just your mental health and stepping into things in a way that is fully aligned for you. So that's the week ahead for you, Capricorn. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Aquarius rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 12th house. There's a big focus on your inner subconscious world. Maybe things that were previously hidden to you are coming to light about your perspective and how you maybe need to view things differently, or your values have changed, your sense of worthiness has changed, and that's changing a lot about your kind of inner structures and your inner belief systems are being really healed in a big way right now. And maybe that's something you're wanting to extend to work, or work is bringing that up for you to look at and maybe communicate yourself in ways that maybe you have held back from in the past because of these wounds or because of triggers, or this identity and these subconscious blocks that were keeping you from kind of speaking up in ways that your soul has wanted to. As we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to put tension on that and kind of add to that energy of needing to really speak up for yourself, to really shift these subconscious things that were maybe holding you back from speaking up for yourself. Maybe this comes up in work, or comes up at the gym, or comes up in how you take care of your health mentally and physically. Um, and really helps you to see, like, I need to heal this wound through action. I need to do something about this and stop it from perpetuating itself. It's not going to be comfortable, but it is going to feel so much better once you shift it. And there could be a big identity, like emotional renewal tied to your identity, and this big shift within your sense of self as we get into Wednesday and the moon moves over Pluto. And both harmonize with Uranus in your fifth house. There could maybe be some shift in your creative passions or projects, maybe with dating or romance too, related to what has shifted or has been shifting for quite some time about your sense of self and your identity. Then later on Wednesday, the moon challenges the sun in your 10th house. There's maybe something you have to take action on in your career that is tied into this way that your identity is shifting and changing, and your emotional drive related to all of those things. As we get into Thursday, the moon harmonizes with Venus in your ninth, furthering this really big shift around your perspective and related to your sense of self, related to your identity that's been going through a big transformation. But again, it could be something that really emotionally challenges your career in some way, or what's going on with your career or your public image. Um, but there are a lot of epiphanies coming as we get more into the week, with the Mercury opposition to Uranus we have too. It's like you're realizing why it all needed to happen the way that it did, and you're getting more mental clarity on how to move forward and maybe what has changed about your long-term goals and visions as it relates to that. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your second house into Pisces, challenges Mercury and Uranus. Again, could be more clarity through challenge, through conflict. It that pushes you to evolve. Maybe something emotionally comes up around money, and you get more clarity around what to change there. But again, it feels challenging. But I do feel like it's a temporary challenge. It's a temporary setback to, like, again, grow, shift, evolve, and change something that you maybe wanted to change for quite some time and maybe have been fearful of taking action on changing. That might also be have been a theme for the past week as we've been in Scorpio season now in your 10th house, and it's challenging Pluto. It's challenging you to shift something about your identity so you can have more harmony in your career, how you're making money, how you're sharing your gifts and yourself with the world. There could be more clarity that comes in around that on Saturdays. The moon moves over the north node in your second house. You could get a divine idea on what to shift about how you're making money or what you're creating to make money. There's just so many shifts really being supported in all your areas of career um, this week, Aquarius. And then on Sunday, the moon moves into your third house. There's an emotional renewal of your communication, of your ideas, how you're sharing information, where you're going on a daily basis too, maybe who you're talking to or who you're surrounding yourself around that's supporting this new you versus who was keeping you maybe stuck in the old. So that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Pisces rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 11th house, challenging Venus in your 8th house. There could be some emotional conflicts between your long-term goals and visions, what you want to do moving forward with your life, and maybe what's going on with your resources or what's going on with money, or having to really shift your belief systems with money and how you're making it, and how your maybe identity has been tied into how you've been making money. And there's this need to really step into a new identity with how you make money to support these long-term goals and visions you're getting more clarity around, and maybe even starting to take action on. On Tuesday, there's more emotional tension around that, as there might be something that triggers these wounds around money and identity, as the moon is challenging Chiron in your second, and both are challenging Jupiter in your fifth. Maybe somebody you're dating or um, kind of challenges you to change something about this, or maybe you're feeling stuck creatively on how to do what you want to do to bring in more money or something like that that supports your long-term goals and visions. This is a temporary moment of tension, and it is going to help you get more clarity about how to evolve and what to shift, but it's not going to be super comfortable to face in the moment. But then later on Tuesday, there could be this big emotional epiphany around that, maybe because you spent time in meditation, or it's really this big subconscious shift as the moon moves into Pisces, or into Aquarius, and over Pluto in your 11th house, and both harmonize with Uranus in your fourth house. Maybe your home in some way or family helps you to kind of have this breakthrough or shift around what's going on in your inner world that you're changing related to all of this. And then there's kind of on Wednesday this moment to really take action on shifting your perspective, and how you're viewing whatever this is and how it's showing up for you. I feel like this is very general and broad. So let me know how this resonates, Pisces, because these shifts feel really big, but they do also feel kind of murky. Um, Kind of like things are going on underneath the surface, but you don't know how to, like, yeah, you don't maybe know what to do about them just yet. Wednesday, the moon challenges the sun in your ninth house. This is what I was saying. There's going to be this emotional, maybe epiphany or illumination of what was in your subconscious needs to shift around all of this that's going on in your career, and with you. And Wednesday as well, Mercury moves into your 10th house. So there's this focus on all of a sudden maybe getting epiphanies or ideas about what to do or communicate or share that's changing in your career or what you're wanting to expand or wanting to do differently. There is this kind of like, oh, this is the answer. This is actually how I want to go about this. This is the shift and the kind of aha moment you've been waiting for is what it feels like. And then on Thursday, there's more harmony around shifting your inner world to match what you've gotten clarity around. So that it all kind of lines up. Um, yeah, I'm really curious like how this is showing up for you specifically, Pisces, because there's a lot of challenges between your money wounds and your creative expansion, and then also like what's going on with resources. But it does feel like you're getting more clarity around how to structure your long-term goals and visions, or maybe asking for support from friends or the people around you to further support all of these ways you're evolving um, things, because you're realizing they're challenges you don't need to keep perpetuating. Then, as we get into Friday, there's an emotional renewal as the moon moves into Pisces, but it is going to challenge something about your home, your family, your career. Maybe you're needing to, again, call on somebody in your life to help support you with this. Um, and then, as we get later into Friday, the moon is going to harmonize with the sun in your ninth house. So there could be, because again, all of these challenges, there's this really these big epiphanies of how to see yourself differently, what to change about your sense of self and identity, and perspective of life as it's wrapped into all of this. Further that on Saturday, as the moon moves over the north node, there's this emotional harmony towards stepping into a new sense of yourself, new identity. And then later Saturday into Sunday, there's harmony with that and taking action on shifting something about your perspective and maybe getting this kind of this emotional inspiration or creativity on what you're doing, and kind of like wanting to like feeling more momentum towards what you're changing and how you're stepping into the new thing. And then on Sunday, it feels like there's this emotional renewal of what's going on in your money and your finances as you're taking action on all of these ideas or this clarity you're receiving as the week progresses. So that's the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. And I'll see you next week. Bye.